Ta-da-da-da. Presente. Hello, welcome. Aquí está Alex y
Right, and we're in a secret location somewhere in Brooklyn.
mi gente, hay party. The party season outside in the blocks has begun.
It's
And
black party time.
oh, it sure is. And you know what? They are so much fun. When was the last time you went to a black party?
I don't know. It's been a minute. It was definitely before 2020.
Let me tell you, growing up, I mean, it was just the thing that happened all the time. Remember, for every holiday, and then they would create in between the holidays reasons to create more black parties. But you know what I loved about them the most is that the black parties attracted the whole family. Like it wasn't just the elders, it wasn't just the youngins. It was like you would see the teens, you would see the elders, you would see the in betweens. You know, like música, comida, activity, and people just wanted to be together, hanging out.
I used to love it. My favorite was seeing all the people in the street of all ages. And it was definitely always a community vibe. This is where you also saw your local elected officials. I mean, we've
Oh
told
yeah,
you
that's a
that we
good
grew
one.
up around local activism, local elected officials, local communities, doing things that brought the community together, such as black parties. And when we tell you, we went to, there was always a black party. And there was black parties to celebrate somebody in the block that did something. You know, I think that back then, the elders, one of the things that we learned is that they seem to be or do a little better in appreciating people who did things in the community that brought people together, that expanded community wellness and local efforts. And these days, we don't really see too much of any of that. It's a little disheartening, you know? Like, I will tell you an example. One of my favorite things in the black parties was seeing people dance. And then I remember being able to have the opportunity to co-host some of these local festivities. You barely saw people dancing. I think that social media has heightened those moments where you could sort of like let loose and forget that anybody was recording you, but at any time anybody's recording you, and if you're dancing the wrong way or you're picking a wedgie in the middle of dancing, next thing you know you're going viral for the wrong reason. And I think it doesn't help with those moments where you could just come to a party like this, relax, enjoy, you know, cut the rug loose.
Right. Let loose and feel like you could really unplug, because of modernization and because everybody tiene cámara, everybody has some gadget. I mean, for the love of God, little peanuts have their own gadgets, for them that they know how to manage better than us adults. On top of that, it's almost like it takes away that, first of all, the attention, the presence, because everyone's focused more on el teléfono. I got to take a picture. Like, and now we've become so conditioned to, we can't do anything without, I have to take a picture and record it. I understand we want to hold on to our memories. I get that sentiment. But now we can't ever have a moment together where that's not a thing, So it's like adding to what you were saying, how, yeah, now people have to be a little bit more self-aware. Like, am I going to be in somebody's shot? Am I going to be in a video? Is somebody going to take my angle, my booty from the wrong angle and make me look crazy? But then, yeah, the other side to that is that you're not even being present, because a lot of the times you're more focused on, I got to get this on video. So it's like you see how, like, in
And
those
then what
times.
happens when people do that? When all of a sudden you're in the middle of a dance and somebody's like, wait, let's scrap this moment. What happens at that moment?
You just messed up the moment.
Why?
Because you were in a particular frequency, you were in a particular medicine with each other. So now you distracted, you're no longer being present in that moment, but you also took that away from the other person or whoever's there too, to stop and take the shot or the video. And also messed up the frequency in a way. And even if you kind of jump in, again, it's like, I feel like at the end of the day, the message is, Sometimes it's just nice to just be present and just enjoy, just be. Like my sister has mentioned within our
Just
videos,
be.
just be, like learn to add that into your day to day life as well. I know that life and lifestyle and living is very different now, and we can't always go back and compare or expect people to live today the way they lived back then. But you know what? Back then, there were certain ways, certain aspects of our lifestyle that was actually more wholesome for your overall health, for your overall connection with people, that we actually got to bring back. And that's one of those things, like learn to just be, simplify.
And learn to take like when you're at a black party, a perfect time to take a little mini tech break.
Yeah.
Put the phone in your pocket, enjoy, hug, if con respeto, with permission, right? Like we see a lot of people in this black party that we know, and we're saying hi, we're catching up, um, and being peoples, being community, like not trying to not push any agenda. We're not here trying to push any agenda. We're not here trying to listen to any agendas. We're just here practicing how to be neighbors, how to be neighborly, how to be in communion with the folks that live in your neighborhood. And there are many reasons why it could be useful for you, for me, for all of us to get to know our neighbors or to get to know who's living in our neighborhood, especially these days. I wonder
Oh,
why, Alex.
yes.
What could that be?
Well, our neighborhoods have all changed so much. And, we have an influx of so many people from all over the world, really, that have contributed to the change in the fabric of our neighborhoods. And that's another reason why the way the feeling has shifted so much, because, the in and out of people within neighborhoods, and especially those neighborhoods that are a little bit more, you know, uh, famous, or like the it neighborhood, right? Somebody labels it that, and then it just becomes the place everybody wants to be. It tends to attract more of a transient situation, meaning people are coming in, they want to exist there, they want to experience, but
Right.
they don't really want to contribute there,
No,
meaning they don't
no.
want to really connect necessarily with the people. They don't really want to get involved in a way in day to day aspects that can contribute to priorities within that community, and often a lot of people that are just coming in and now have no idea how they're affecting that particular ecosystem,
And throwing
because
off the balance. I mean,
yeah.
this is one of the reasons why the whole thing about gentrification and the wounds around it have not healed. Because some people basically look at it like, oh, community wellness check. We are adding a building, we're elevating the price market of the neighborhood. Isn't that all gravy? No, because in this neighborhood that we have seen just change so much, it went from family, small buildings, and neighborly like, and more of spaces to walk and places to sit. And it has transferred into these big, blocky buildings with sort of private experiences and less outdoor, less seating, less places for communal activities. There's been a coldness and that has come in, and that also then invites these higher price stores that then don't cater to the community but just cater to the higher market that has moved in. And what happens is that we don't really heal the community that has been hurt because our actions, we may not realize, is like, yeah, we live here but we're not contributing, but we're very quick to call 311. We're very quick to complain. We're very quick to make somebody else's life miserable. But people aren't really aware of their own activities, like how their noise or their parties or their the way they don't say hi, or they don't realize that there's elderly people around here. They don't hold the doors for people. They don't say good morning, and it's beyond, like, gentrification is beyond the 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 physicality of the neighborhood. Is just the coldness that seems to move into a neighborhood that it was the reason people were drawn into going into that neighborhood was because of the caramel the essence of the livelihood. And then something happens along the way with our shifts. It gets cold, and people seem not to be responsible. But then we have this fake outrage about activism, about people who say they want to speak up for our rights and affordable housing, to affordable housing that folks like us could never afford. So it's like a weird illusion kind of thing that people think they're helping community, but they're not. One way that you can become neighborly, that you can help heal those things, is coming to places like this, of course, if it feels like you want to explore it.
Yeah. Yeah, once a neighborhood um, really, once that gentrification really takes off within a neighborhood, it goes from a neighborhood into more of a commercialized environment. And if you've ever been to everybody, I guess the best example is to think about the hotspots in Manhattan that have the most commercialized, the places that have the biggest stores, the biggest activity of people in and out. When you're in those places, it's business. It's like in and out, you're just having the experience. And even if it's fun, it's a different type of fun. It sort of has that feeling like it doesn't end. There isn't a honey about it. It's very different from an environment or community that's a neighborhood. There is a community, there's connection, everybody knows each other. After a certain time of the day, businesses, or at least most businesses, shut down, and there's almost like a pause that happens for the evening until the next day. There's not that much in and out to those degrees as you do in those hot spots or hot neighborhoods. And that changes the whole fabric of the environment within a community. So whether or not you don't realize that when you move into a neighborhood and it's being gentrified, that you're not a part of that machine. I mean, even if it's not coming from a bad place, you are a part of that machine because you're shifting the ecosystem. And so, like my sister was saying, if and when you do that, because you know what, we all do that to some degree. At some point, all of us are gonna pick up and leave into another community. And that means that we're going to contribute to the change of whatever we are bringing once we're in that other environment. So it's not that we're saying don't pick up and move ever to any one place, but when you are there, being mindful of your environment. How can I contribute in a positive way to this environment? How can I become a part of the ecosystem in a way that I feel called, but at the same time it's also a positive thing. It's like my sister was saying, a lot of the neighborhoods that get gentrified, yeah, it's like the honey about it calls the people in, but then once they're in, the honey gets completely destroyed, and then all of a sudden you're left with this coldness. Like, listen, my sister and I, hot spot in Brooklyn, born and raised in this area, wasn't always a hot spot. And when it became an it neighborhood, every people would always say to us, particularly when we had our shop, they would stop by and say to us, aren't you just so grateful that the neighborhood is so different, that it's so amazing now? And they would always be shocked by our responses, because we would look at them like,
No.
do I love some of the changes? 100%. And I
love
would
the
go down.
restaurants.
Right. We love the restaurants, right?
Restaurants.
But I would always say to people, and this would always shock them, I'm like, believe it or not, back in the day when it was considered just poor, it had more of a neighborhood community feel than the way it feels now.
Now
It
it feels so
does not
cold.
feel like that at all. And I'm like, and the irony is that there's probably even more families living in this area than ever before, but it doesn't have that community honey that we once all had with each other, when it wasn't the it place. So yeah, not everything is what it seems.
Not everything is what it seems. And I think that this is why, no matter where you fall, let's say on this conversation of gentrification, like, we know people who are hardcore activists that are always raising awareness for low income communities and how expensive rents are. At the same time, they don't realize how they contribute and they're part of the problem, because they don't really know or understand the policies that they support, may be contributing to the overall problem themselves, but they also are so angry and so jaded. There is an isness to the fact that all neighborhoods change. And then other people are on the other side, where they're just seeing it from one vantage point, and they don't understand, they just, they're looking at it from like, oh, so what, just move to another place. But they don't understand how people create roots and ties, and also there's a dynamic there between who's the people that are feeling like they're getting displaced. If it's a community that has and moves very tribally and like a group like Latinos do, it's hurtful
Yeah, it
because
is.
you displace it when all of a sudden um, the local pharmacy has Dwayne Reed move right across. I mean, literally across the street with the door facing the same. Is that not a big box corporate store moving in and destroying a small business? And we don't see it, but then we're oh get bueno, Dwayne Reed is here 24 hours, and we just help kill by our actions a small business. Or like when the local bakery,
Oh,
we're still mourning to this day, all these years later, the two local bakeries that we had in this area. There has been nothing like it. I could see an upgraded version of it. I would welcome it, but to this day we're all waiting for one.
yeah. Because I think you bring up an excellent point when particularly around this issue with gentrification, we tend to want to always only talk about the people that are coming in, creating the change, which of course is, I would say, the most important element. However, there's many sides to the situation, and I feel like sometimes our people who are within the neighborhoods, they're too resistant as well, because the reality is that transition will always happen. Once upon a time, our parents or grandparents moved into these neighborhoods and they transitioned whoever was there prior.
Yeah.
So it is a part of life as well. And I understand it is bigger than it is a lot. Gentrification is a lot more nuanced. It has a lot of different perspectives. But I guess what I really want, not I guess, what I want to say is that our people also have a responsibility in how they affected gentrification. Not being as active, not being as aware, and being too quick to, kind of give in to the highest buck, you know. But then also from another angle, I feel like sometimes we're a little bit too closed off to some of the changes that can very much benefit your life and experience in a positive way as well, not all bad. There's always a lot of people that come into different environments that are great freaking people. Like, get to know, just like we're saying to asking newcomers, get to know the people in the neighborhood that you move into, become a part of that ecosystem. Well, we have to be open to getting to know folks as well. So at the end of the day, there's always going to be, like they say, three sides of every story, right? Theirs, ours, and then
Well,
this
there's
truth.
multiple sides
Yeah.
to the gentrification story because it's easy to just say the new people coming in, but why are the new people coming in? Because, politicians and real estate folks, politicians are helping to create policies that change zoning laws, make it give opportunities for developments to build, and those developments, for example, advertise. Everybody's got to win, follow the money. And
Yep.
so a lot of times the blame shifts on regular Joe Schmo on either side, but we always forget
The
while we're
Giants.
playing the divisive tactics, the Giants are caking it, and the political elite are living behind their little castles.
I would say that one of the most important things, and something we've said here often on many fronts, is get involved with your local politics. Get to know your local elected officials. Yes, I understand most of our elected officials are not necessarily inviting. They don't even like to see people, even though
Or pick up
there's
the phone or be
right.
present for appointments, like we've
Exactly.
experienced time and time again.
Even though they work for us, but we have to start reminding them that that is what they do. They do work for us, and we have to start realizing, okay, well, there are many aspects, so many things that are affecting my community, my neighborhood. Well, let me get to know who's responsible or who's sort of leading and representing us in a lot of these decisions. Let me get to know how they think or how they're voting or how active they are or not. You know, it it's helpful. You'd be surprised how effective we could be on a local level, even way more than on these higher platforms.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up, I'm going to ask you a question. How did it feel to see some of the familiar faces when we first approached?
Here to the Black Party, it felt fantastic. I felt so nostalgic. It literally just took me back to like being a kid and being all excited, getting ready, to meet our family at the Black Party for the day.
And they have cotton candy and it's free.
And popcorn and pizza and
And
snacks.
free empanadas. Delicious. Can you imagine? You can get this and more just by exploring your local block party. And then maybe, as a bonus, you might make a new friend.
The blessing. How did you feel when you started walking over and saw familiar faces?
My heart always feels full. We have a loneliness epidemic, and this is one of the reasons the Perez Sisters of Cafecito Break will always be boots on the ground, whether we are in a fiesta, whether we're reporting local events, whether we're doing business dealings and making monies, because the sisters needs to make monies. So if you are enjoying our little episodes, if you enjoy the content that we create with love for our community, please like, please subscribe, please comment, please share, and we welcome donations, big or small, everything helps. See links below.
Oh my gosh, I don't think it could have been said perfectly. Thank you so much for joining in and for loving us and supporting us in all the ways that you do. Because it's like my sister said, this loneliness epidemic is no joke, and we got to break it. And it all starts like this, us taking action in the ways that we do. We like to be on the ground with you guys. We like to connect with you in different formats. And we're inviting you to do the same as well.
See you soon. Bye.